So lunch is always a tough act to follow, right? So I hope I won't bore you because I was reading the RootCon webpage on the way here, and this line struck me the most. RootCon controls product pitching from sponsors, which gives a hell of a boredom to its attendees. So I hope I don't do that today with you guys, okay? And what is interesting in the talks earlier, right, is a couple of my colleagues from Emerson. It's our first RootCon, by the way. It's our first to sponsor here and actually maybe participate here. And a couple of my colleagues were saying, what are we doing here at RootCon, right? I'm sure if you've been here many times before, you haven't seen Emerson, and we don't really participate in events like this. But that talk by James earlier, so he talked about niche spaces, right, in cybersecurity. And I saw like maybe once or twice there, ICS, right, so industrial control systems. And that's the market where we come from, that's the industry where we come from. And honestly, let me take this off, sorry, yeah. And honestly, the line between operations, technology, and industrial technology is kind of blurring really, really quick, right, and thinning. And so I guess we have to be here. This could be the first of many participations for Emerson in RootCon because we have, firstly, to learn from you guys and also partner with you guys, right, to make sure our systems are protected, okay? So first, who am I, right? So I said here, meet the sub, right? Because I wasn't the one who was supposed to be here today, but you know, for some reason, maybe a virus, a worm, hopefully not, he's not here today, so I have this pleasure of talking to you today. My name is Alvin Ribano. I'm from Emerson. I do program management for lifecycle services in our Asia Pacific business, right? So what we do in lifecycle services, we serve and protect. That's what we say, right? So we provide services to our installed base and we protect them. And cybersecurity is one part of the portfolio that we bring to our customers, right? And so I put up my QR code there if you want to scan that and connect with me. I want to connect with you if you find, you know, what we're talking about today interesting, if, you know, there are opportunities to partner with us. If you like what we'll talk about today and you want to be part of Emerson, because we certainly need people who are very good in cybersecurity, okay, definitely connect with me. We have a very good referral program, so I want to be the one to refer you. And, you know, if you want to offer me a job after this, that's also the way to do that, right? But our HR is here, so, okay, let's not talk about that. Okay. All right, so you might be wondering, Emerson who, right? So a company you haven't met before, right? And honestly, you know, if my mother asked me today, what does Emerson do, right? Or my daughter asked me, I wouldn't have a very easy answer for them, right? Because we do a lot of things, but they're not so easy to explain. I could tell them, you know, we create hardware and software that controls plants. That's it, right? And fortunately, we have this video that I will show you next to explain what does Emerson do, in what space, what industries do we play. I hope you like it. Here it goes.
We are engineers, designers, and thinkers out to not just create something and unleash it onto the world. We make it to impact what's most important to you, your world. We don't just make the most efficient compressors in the world. We make sleep. We don't just make the EPA's highest award-winning smart thermostat. We make home. We don't just make software that runs over 50% of all US power companies. We make light. We don't just make the technology that 3 of the top 4 pharmaceutical companies use to inoculate the world against COVID. We make peace of mind. We don't just push technology forward. We help the world's most essential industries solve the biggest challenges of modern life. We don't just make a diverse, progressive, and inclusive work environment. We make the freedom for employees to be their best. We don't just drive innovation. We make the world healthier, safer, smarter, and more sustainable.
So that's what we do. That's our purpose, right? So we want to make the world healthier, safer, smarter, and more sustainable. And if I might add to that, more secure, right, in doing that. So Emerson is a global company. We are obviously a technology, software, and engineering firm, and we have two main lines of business. It's automation solutions and commercial and residential solutions. So later on, I'll talk more about what we do in those lines of business. But some quick statistics for Emerson. So we were founded in 1890. So this year, we're about 130 plus years old, probably older than most of your great grandfathers, and we're still here. And that was our revenue last year. So if there are people here who like making ransomware, most of that money is gone. So don't charge us that much, okay, if you if you ever get to hack our systems. But what is important, I think, is this, right? Three main COVID vaccines that you probably most of you are inoculated here by those are made using software that's produced by Emerson, control system software, right? And we have 20,000 patents under our belt. And my favorite here is, that bit at the bottom about us being one of the most diverse companies in our industry, right? And, talking about diversity, this is where we play, right? So we are in 5 world areas, and Asia is where we have the most employees. As you can see, almost 26,000 strong employees here in Asia Pacific. We have manufacturing facilities, and we also have our shared services and technology development and support organizations, some of the biggest organizations in Emerson here in the Philippines. So let me talk more about, our business platform. So that's Emerson. So what do we actually do? What products do we make? So first the automation solutions business, of which I'm a part of. So these are the industries that we are serving. So you can see there life sciences, medical industry, power, food and beverage. So pretty much everything that we need in the world, right? The power that you get in your houses, the water, and the medicine, that you get. So a lot of that is made using one or more products of Emerson. And these brands, I'm not, maybe you're not very familiar with them, but these are the brands in the market that Emerson produce. Now, just to give you a quick overview of what Emerson is doing and with the products that we have. So this is a simple architecture of a control system that we are putting together and selling to our customers. So those things at the bottom, those are you see some valves, you see some transmitters, right? So those are what senses what goes on, right? The things that goes on the plant. What is the temperature? What is the pressure? And ultimately, that's what we use to control the plant, right? We have those control valves, and all of that is being controlled by software that's running on those computers at the top, right? And we also develop that software here. So many of our developers are here today. And the interface between those instruments and that software, this I/O cards and controllers that you see, so that's all Emerson, right? But if there's one thing I want to highlight in this architecture, it's you're all cybersecurity professionals, right? So you obviously see a lot, a very huge attack surface here, right? So there's so many ways for somebody who wants to get into this system to really do some damage. And if you're talking about critical systems, then they can really do that. So that's why, like I said, it's very good that we're part of this. So we learn from you, we partner with you on how to really secure this. We of course have cybersecurity built into the system, but from what I'm hearing this morning, maybe it's not not enough. And it's obviously an evolving discussion. So in terms of commercial and residential solutions, this is what we have. A big chunk of it is something called a cold chain. I'm not sure if you've heard about that. So this is to illustrate that. So the things that you buy in the groceries, for example, or the drugs, right? Like the COVID vaccines that you all got, they have to be maintained at a certain temperature, right? From the point where they were collected, they were manufactured, until they were shipped to the grocery where you buy them, right? So we have products, that span that whole supply chain, that space, keeping the temperatures of those things, right, at the right level. So that's a big task, right? And that has to be monitored and that has to be controlled. And that's our line of business in commercial and residential solutions. Now, what does Emerson do in terms of cybersecurity, right? And this is a statement that you will find in our environmental, social, and governance report is available online. Obviously, cybersecurity is a very important topic for us for two things, right? We have to protect our systems, and we have to protect the customers using our systems. So I'm sure you'll see a lot of familiar acronyms here like ISO 27001, Information Security Management. In developing our products, we have 62443, and we have very recently, because we now are moving to the cloud, we are now moving into software as a service. So we now delve into SOC 2 certifications to protect the data of our customers. We abide by the NIST framework of cybersecurity, and I think while I was listening, I put those two ellipses at the bottom because obviously we at least partnering with you guys and being here, I think we have an opportunity to do more, right? And we have to do more in terms of cybersecurity. Now, the next video I'll share, to really emphasize how important cybersecurity is a video of our president, our company president, talking about cybersecurity at Emerson.
Cybersecurity is more relevant now than ever across all our industries. We're helping customers leverage industrial Internet of Things technologies that prevent exposure to cyber incidents and empower workers with the knowledge, behaviors, and tools they need to reduce threats. With our expertise in technologies, customers are building and applying robust defensive strategies to ward off attackers and stay in control of their facilities. Our employees are the backbone of this work, delivering for our customers around the world and solving the tough challenges they face on a daily basis. Their tireless work is bringing our purpose to life. We drive innovation that makes the world healthier, safer, smarter, and more sustainable.
All right, so I hope I was able to give you a little bit of insight about what Emerson does, right? And like I said, our HR is here, and this is not a recruiting speech, but if you are interested, right? And this next talk is about what is the experience of an Emerson guy, right? What if I were to join Emerson as a developer, as a technologist, what would be my experience? Maybe there are some students here, fresh out of college, or if you are, new to cybersecurity and trying to build your portfolio and your knowledge. So I have a colleague here, Vince, who will be talking about his experience. He's quite new to Emerson, and he'll talk about what he has experienced the past 1 or 2 years. Vince?
Hello and good afternoon to everyone. So, to start off, my name is Vince, and as Sir Alvin has mentioned, I will be talking about my experience in joining Emerson. And I would also like to talk about something in cybersecurity in the industry that, for the most part, we usually don't get the chance to talk about. And I guess the reason for that is usually it just comprises a short amount of time in our professional careers, and usually we just gloss over it. But I would argue that that short amount of time is quite pivotal in our professional development. So my topic will be viewing cybersecurity from the eyes of a newbie. So before I proceed, a quick introduction. So I am a graduate of computer engineering in Mapua University. So I am a relatively recent graduate. I just graduated back in 2021. So I'm actually a pandemic graduate. And throughout my stay in Mapua, I have had my fair share of achievements. And I think that this was crucial into helping me get to where I am right now, which is currently I am working as a software developer in Emerson for about a year and a half already. And Emerson is not only my first job, it is also where I had my internship back then. And currently I'm also serving as the technical SME for the Scrum team that I am working with. So, what is cybersecurity to a newbie? So, for the first part, let's define first what I mean in here by a newbie, because newbie, it can mean a lot of things. So, in the gaming world, this usually has a negative connotation, but in this context, I would like to talk about being a newbie from 3 different perspectives. So, the first one is being a newbie as a student. So back in college, I did not have cybersecurity in my curriculum. So I was a computer engineer, and cybersecurity was not actually a part of our curriculum. And although I was able to learn tidbits here and there, uh, I would like to think that that was not enough to get me acquainted with the importance of cybersecurity. So we can say that cybersecurity was indeed low in my list of priorities as a student. And I guess it makes sense back then because prior to being in college, I did not have any background in programming. So my focus in there was simply to learn the fundamentals of software development before moving to a much more um, complicated topic such as cybersecurity. But I can still say that if we did have any form of cybersecurity in our curriculum, that would have helped me to develop my skills in that aspect. And given that there's little focus on the curriculum, as I graduated, I will be proceeding to my next point of view, which is as a job applicant. So uh, after I graduate from Mapua University, my first goal in there was, of course, to find a job. But when looking for a job, as someone who works in the technology industry, uh, I believe you will know that there are a lot of opportunities that you can choose from. And that can give a bit of a pressure to you because you have to decide on something that can affect perhaps the future of your life. But luckily for me, I was dead set on being a software developer. So back then, my only goal was to find a job that has three things. So first, of course, is a good pay, which is, I guess, pretty standard for all of us. Next is a job which has a good working environment. Uh, I think it's pretty important that the people you work with are good and you need to have good collaboration with them. And lastly, I would also like to have a job that can challenge me in terms of software development. So as you can notice from my criteria, cybersecurity was not in it. And you can't really blame me because I will not be looking for cybersecurity because I haven't even been uh, professionally introduced to the concept yet. Because as I've said, that was not a part of our curriculum and I really did know little about it. Um, so moving on, although I did not have that in my list of considerations, I was lucky because the company that I did work for, so Emerson, gives importance to cybersecurity, which brings me to my next perspective, which is being a newbie as a new hire. So as I've entered the industry, everything changed for me. So I actually went from someone who had absolutely no regard to cybersecurity to someone who spends hours of his days trying to comply with cybersecurity requirements that is, of course, imposed to us developers. And it makes sense because being in a corporate setting, the things that I work on now has real world implications. So I need to comply both in technical and in process. So in the year of my stay in Emerson, I've learned a lot of things. So for the context of this this presentation, I will be talking about those that I've learned that are specific to cybersecurity. So first, uh, I do know that Emerson is making cybersecurity a priority, but what are the reasons for that? So I have here some reasons. So the first one is that the industrial control system industry has been continuously targeted by attackers, and Emerson, as well as our customers, are not strangers to this. So there's history for our customers. Although Emerson is not really the cause of it, but they are not new, and we need to ensure that they will not encounter it with us. Another reason is because the critical infrastructure in the ICS are vulnerable to large-scale impacts. So the industrial control systems being a large-scale system has the tendency to become very vulnerable if, for example, an attacker manages to compromise even just a small part of it. That can mean millions of dollars worth of loss. And millions of dollars worth of loss is something that we need to prioritize. And next, customers also want more cybersecurity features built in. So in our case, it is our customers themselves that are asking for the cybersecurity features to be built in. However, they are also asking and demanding for more convenient access to control systems. So this fourth and fifth reason are actually, if you think about it, quite contradicting to each other, because if they are trying to get convenient access, then we also need to ensure that security features remain, because if we introduce security features, then likely some form of convenience get lost. So by giving priority to cybersecurity, we can find the right balance between the two. So we can provide customers the convenience while not sacrificing any cybersecurity features that we provide. So another reason, the legacy industrial control system communication protocols are not built with cybersecurity in mind. And I guess that is because some of these protocols are dating to years back, and I guess some of it was created before I was even born. And I guess when you think about it that way, it makes sense that cybersecurity is not really as big as a priority back then compared to what it is now. But of course, given that we are adapting to a more technology-driven world, we also need to change to comply with the newer requirements. And lastly, internet connectivity and cloud computing are new security domains. So with the advent of cloud computing, it's almost like everything is being connected to the internet. And that basically presents a new avenue for attackers to attack from. It's a new entry point, basically. So that also means that there's a whole new avenue for us to consider the cybersecurity concerns for the new technologies that we include in our products. Okay, so given that there are a lot of reasons why we need to make cybersecurity a priority, Emerson does indeed provide cybersecurity protection for our customers against threats. As I've said before, this is needed because failure to comply with this will, of course, result to millions of dollars worth of loss. And thinking about whether to encrypt something or not, that becomes a lot more relevant compared to when I was dealing with it back in college. And also, when you think about Emerson, we, as mentioned by Sir Alvin earlier, we have a wide range of products. And as time goes by, we also add a lot more complementary products to those existing products. So every time we do that, we also introduce a lot of new things that we need to consider the security of. So given that Emerson does do its part in implementing cybersecurity on their products, I, as a developer working in Emerson, also need to do my part by integrating cybersecurity practices in my development work. So I've listed here several examples of what we do as Scrum teams in Emerson. And I believe that these are actually standards in the industry. So for the first one, we have the FSA and SDLA assessments. So basically, for the features that we work on, we answer some questionnaires so that we can raise any security concerns and identify if we will be needing some security artifacts for our features. So of course, examples of the artifacts are the ones that are subsequent to this example, which are first, the threat modeling. I believe this is also mentioned in the first talk. When we do threat modeling, we can identify the vulnerabilities and threats that may be present in our architecture. And we actually have some third-party tools that can help us do it. So those third-party tools can scan and assess which threats are seen in the, I guess that's sort of diagram that we create. And we can then further assess it afterwards. For the third one, we use code analyzers. So again, some of these are third-party tools that we use. So we analyze our static code so that during implementation, we can provide fixes and also ensure that we do not introduce any new security concerns in the code that we add. And for the fourth one, we also do security code reviews. So when we do this, we are able to catch any implementation errors before even merging our code to the release branches. And by doing this, we also identify any dependencies that can impact other software components. And for the fifth one, we have the software patching. So as with the previous examples, we also use some third-party tools in doing this. So for software patching, we use tools to scan packages. So of course, as developers, we often use packages, and those are not necessarily part of our code, but we still use them in our application. So we need to know if the packages that we are using has any vulnerabilities, and if we do identify that, then we will provide some resolution. And lastly, we built in all these security practices in order to ensure that we deliver quality product. And also, we do this because we need to fix things as they appear rather than having to rework them later on, which will cost both time and money. So, as I've said before, those 6 examples that I've mentioned previously, we do this in the scope of Scrum teams. So, in Emerson, we also follow the Agile framework. So, as you can see in here, the blue boxes represent Scrum teams. So, I'm actually a part of one of those as a developer. And we work on features. And the thing to highlight in here is that we also have these shared services, including the cybersecurity team. So the thing that makes this important is because as a member of a Scrum team, we need to ensure that we coordinate with cybersecurity accordingly because we have features that has security considerations. And it differs from Scrum team to Scrum team. So having a dedicated cybersecurity team to oversee all of it can help ensure that security practices are being followed throughout the whole train. And as part of doing all of those, I would like to share with you a couple of achievements for Emerson. So we have actually been granted these 2 certifications. So the first one is the ISO Secure SSA Level 1. So this basically is a standard that defines some security procedures to be followed by various industries. And of course, this includes the industrial control system industry, of which we are a part of. And also the next one is the SDLA Level 1 certification, which is given to companies who adhere to the SDLA processes, which includes the 6 development practices that I've discussed previously. And being awarded these certifications is a testament to how Emerson is giving importance to cybersecurity. And until now, we are still continuously uh, renewing this as is normal in certifications. So the Manila branch currently is still certified with both of these. So I've talked about what we do in Emerson and my experience from being a college student up until being hired in Emerson. So where do we go from here? So as I've mentioned, I was a newbie from 3 different perspectives. And being a pivotal moment in my life, I have several things that I want to share as my idea of what we need to ensure that being a newbie is not as difficult or how we can provide help to newbies in the cybersecurity industry. For the first one, a newbie as a student, institutions of higher learning need to equip students with knowledge of cybersecurity. So that may mean adding cybersecurity to the curriculum of courses or programs that may need it. And I think just recently, I found out that in my college, they are already offering cybersecurity specializations. So it's unfortunate that that was not there when I was still studying, but yeah, for now, there's improvement in that regard. So for the next one, cybersecurity as a job seeker, as you search for a company, do consider cybersecurity because in my case, since I did not have any background, looking for a work that can help me with cybersecurity can not only keep me safe in failure to comply, but also help my skills in applying the security practices in my development work. And lastly, as a new hire, companies having proper security standards and onboarding for new hires are expectations that we want to set for others. So this is not just me bragging about what Emerson is doing. This is me thinking that whatever Emerson is doing should be set as a standard for others to follow. Because I think that uh, us as part of the technology industry should strive to ensure that all of us will be having a shared culture of cybersecurity in all of our works. And as much as we are already doing good right now, we can always do more to make everything better. So that's it for my talk. Thank you for listening. And also, if you are interested, we have our booth right there. So please feel free to visit us anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much